The FBI's raid on the Ohio Organizing Collaborative should concern every American because history teaches us to pay attention. Trump has unsubstantiated claims of widespread voter fraud, and this raid is seen by some as an intimidation tactic. According to reports, federal agents searched offices, seized records, and visited the homes of staff and volunteers connected to the organization. At the same time, Ohio is entering a highly contested gubernatorial race that pits very different visions for the state's future against each other. Might not be a coincidence that Ohio Organizing Collaborative, an organization that helps underrepresented communities register to vote and has joined lawsuits challenging redistricting efforts that dilute Black voting power, was raided. Now, let me be clear, I'm not declaring guilt or innocence regarding the raid. I want us instead to be thinking about how to ask better questions. History shows that when elections become contests over power and belonging, organizations that mobilize marginalized communities often face increased scrutiny. And America has seen this before. During the Civil Rights Movement, Southern states attempted to cripple the NAACP by demanding membership lists, something that was likely taken during the raid. Maybe. Why is this important? Why should we think about this historical action of NAACP in Alabama at this time? Because then exposing members created fear. We're talking about in the middle of this, of course, the Civil Rights Movement. People could lose jobs, businesses could face retaliation, families could become targets, people could lose their lives then. Eventually, the issue reached the Supreme Court in NAACP versus Alabama, and the court ultimately ruled that the state could not force the organization to reveal its membership list. History offers many examples of this kind of federal government overreach. We have FBI that targeted Marcus Garvey's UNIA movement. Through COINTELPRO, FBI infiltrated civil rights organizations, spread disinformation, and attempted to create distrust among activists and community leaders. Now, pointing to history does not mean that saying what happened here in Ohio has the exact same identical situation. History doesn't repeat itself, but it does often rhyme. And historical literacy helps us recognize when these familiar dynamics start emerging. One of those dynamics is the assumption that if something is legal, it must be just. This raid may in fact been legal, but is it ethical? So when we ask these better questions, we can start to see these patterns. History teaches us that everything that is legal is not necessarily just or ethical. Slavery was legal, segregation was legal, literacy tests designed to suppress the Black vote was legal. In Nazi Germany, persecution happened through laws, policies, and bureaucratic systems that stripped Jews of rights and citizenship and humanity. In fact, Nazi legal scholars studied Jim Crow laws that were oppressing Black folks in the United States. They studied how the United States used legal systems to deny Black people their rights. And they took that information to Germany to learn how to deny entire groups their rights. The lesson is not that every government action is oppressive. I'm not saying that. The lesson is that citizens have the responsibility to remain informed and ask difficult questions because oppression doesn't always arrive wearing a hood. Sometimes it arrives wearing a suit or with a badge. Sometimes it arrives paperwork, subpoenas, court orders, or search warrants. The question isn't whether you're conservative or liberal. The question is whether you're paying attention. This attention has a word connected to it. It's called woke. The very skill that helps us recognize these historical patterns, the ability to stay aware of how systems, laws, and institutions shape people's lives. It's something conservatives spent several years attacking. This is the core work, part of the work of DEI, to understand how systems and powers work. In the next video, I'll talk a little bit more about the original meaning of woke, and why conservatives and our one of our Ohio governor candidates is working so hard to convince Americans that being woke, being aware of systems and power of oppression, is somehow something to fear. If you are interested or enjoy conversations about leadership and power, click the link in my bio and you can catch some more tips and stories in my bi-weekly newsletter.